When it originally released on Switch in 2020, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was known to be technically flawed. The combination of low resolution and unstable frame rates led to what some believe to be a subpar experience. In this video, we'll look at what the unpatched game running on Switch 2 offers in terms of frame rate, loading, and resolution boosts. Starting off with the graphics comparisons, Age of Calamity takes its style from 2017's Breath of the Wild and largely looks very similar. In terms of resolution though, we're looking at a dynamic 810p in docked mode, with the original Switch often dropping even further below this target. You might be able to see resolution drops in combat, but being real here, if you're playing on the Switch 1, you probably won't be focusing as heavily on resolution complaints in those cases, hint hint. Without a dedicated Switch 2 patch or update, the best the new console can do is just lock to the current resolution and frame rate cap. Let's quickly establish the baseline. Being one of the first areas you see in the game, it doesn't leave a great impression. The game often fails to hold a stable 30 when enemies are anywhere on screen, even dropping to the mid-20s in combat. You'll see this in later comparisons too, but the special abilities / weak point attacks also momentarily drop the frame rate in a noticeable way. The one place it can sometimes hold 30 is during very basic traversal, like this. These outposts also have a large number of enemies in a small area, where we can see poor overall performance once again. Also, when an outpost is cleared, some chests spawn with an animation that absolutely destroys the console. So honestly, performance is pretty embarrassing all up. But flipping over to the Switch 2, and ignoring a few small frame time inconsistencies, it basically just locks to 30 FPS, being overall a much better experience. And yes, this does extend to the special attack animations, the outposts, and even the chest animation. And it can get even worse, like here in this technically difficult level a bit later in the game. The abundance of rain and visual effects really hit the Switch hard, but thankfully the new machine is breezing through yet again. There are also a small subset of levels within the game that let you control massive divine beasts, as they're called, with their own uniquely destructive abilities. These sections are often accompanied by a huge number of creatures on screen, so I was pretty curious to see how the base machine actually handles these. If you want the quick rundown, this is basically a mid-20 FPS experience on the Switch 1, with a mostly locked 30 FPS on Switch 2. Here's another quick example with a different beast, this time with a bunch more water effects and enemies. Overall, I'd say these levels aren't as bad as what I thought they'd be, but they've been cleaned up by the Switch 2 regardless. A co-op mode is also available throughout, letting players complete levels in 2-player local split screen. And as you can expect, having 2 separate players attacking enemies makes the performance flaws much more apparent. Frame rates in the 20s are frankly quite common in combat, but at least running around is still alright, I guess. Over on the Switch 2 side, it's much better. The software here does show some frame time issues in this mode, but in gameplay I couldn't really tell personally, so it's possibly a recording issue. Genuinely, this is a substantial improvement. This mode goes from feeling like a constantly choppy slideshow to something actually playable, my own opinion of course. I did originally test the Divine Beast scenarios in co-op, but they heavily limit the second player to just a single, simple attack, with the main player getting most of the control, causing the experience and performance to not really be any different. Something we haven't properly touched on is that within co-op, each player is free to move wherever they want without limits. This can definitely cause extra strain on the system, especially when in 2 separate fights at different locations. This is how we see some FPS drops below even 20. The Switch 2 performance boost here basically makes the game perform how it should have on the original hardware at release, even with double the players. That's all for this video. I was thinking of covering either the original Hyrule Warriors or the Arc port next, considering it just got a Switch 2 upgrade quite recently, but feel free to let me know if you're interested in seeing these or anything else you want to see. Thank you so much for watching.